Have you heard about a UFO crash that happened sometime in the 1940s where it was winter and there was actually microfiche of this incident that Danny Sheehan actually saw? Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about that. So this is something that's really interesting. This is something that I hadn't heard until I saw an interview of Danny Sheehan on the Julian Dory podcast. And he had talked about that he allegedly was given access to a classified portion of Project Blue Book. All right. And the way this went down is this is in the days of the Jimmy Carter administration. So Jimmy Carter was the president of the United States, and they wanted to find out information about UFOs. And Danny Sheehan was asked to go to the Capitol building and to find out what was going on. He was directed to another building where they had an underground facility. So he goes down, he shows his ID, there's two guards there, and they let him in. It's this basement area, and there's one of those old microfiche machines there, and then a box of microfilm. So he's going through that and puts in one, and he sees this scene where it's in a forest. It's winter time, and he actually sees this saucer-shaped UFO with a dome on top, and right below the dome are these weird, strange hieroglyphic type symbols that he doesn't recognize. And these symbols have he described as these diagonal lines with these little lines next to them. I'll show you guys an image of that. That's really interesting. He's looking at this, and he also sees 4 military officers surrounding this craft. And they're wearing these winter-style parkas with like the furry hood, and it's 1940 style. And you have 3 of these men that have still cameras from the era that are taking images. And then the 4th officer is taking video of this. He's using a dual reel motion film camera. Okay. So that also helps us to date when this might have taken place. He doesn't know exactly when this took place or exactly where. It's an unknown location. But based upon what the officers were wearing and the type of cameras and video camera that was being used, dates it probably to the 1940s, but we're not entirely sure. But this is very interesting. This is a case that not many people know about. And so to back up a little bit, when Danny Sheehan went into this room, he was allowed to take in a notepad, like a blank notepad, but he couldn't actually make any notes, is what they told him. So that's interesting. So he's looking at this, and on the glass plate, he decides that he's going to make an inscription of this image, right? So instead of drawing on the paper, he opens it up to the back where you have the cardboard backing and traces this image onto the cardboard, right? Which is genius. And then when he leaves, he goes out, the guards, search him, make sure he hasn't taken anything. And they flip through the pages of the notebook, and there's nothing written on the notebook, but they don't think to check that cardboard backing. So he's actually able to leave with that information. Now, from what I understand, he took this notepad to the Jesuit headquarters in California for storage. And apparently there was like a fire there some years later where it might have either gotten destroyed or lost, so we don't know exactly where that piece of evidence is. I wish we had that, because that would be amazing evidence. But, you know, this is something that's really incredible. And if it did take place in the 1940s, this could maybe be a craft that was discovered during World War II, possibly. Given that it was the snowy location, I mean, Europe would make sense. So, you know, maybe in Germany, maybe even in Italy or elsewhere. You know, we simply don't know. But apparently Danny was saying from the image that he saw that this craft had come in, slammed into the ground, and slid through the ground for quite some ways, digging up dirt. And then after it slid, it penetrated itself into the side of an embankment at between like a 30 and 45 degree angle. You know, that's really interesting. And so again, you know, these symbols that he saw on there, he wanted to make sure that he documented those. And I've looked at these symbols, and they don't remind me exactly of any specific language. I mean, it kind of looks like cuneiform, but not really. I mean, there's similarities, but there's that. You know, Egyptian hieroglyphics are obviously different than this, so it's really hard to say. But that being said, you know, since there's writing on this craft, you know, and it was actually etched into the craft, then obviously that means that this civilization has some type of language, right? Even if they do use telepathy, probably predominantly, we simply don't know. But it shows they have sight, obviously, because they can read. You know, they have these symbols, and we just need to figure out, you know, what do these symbols mean? Which obviously is a tall order. We have no idea. So with that in mind, I want you guys to really think about this. You know, could there be a link somewhere to the 1933 Magenta, Italy UFO crash? Are these two craft related in some way? Are they not related? You know, so comment, you know, and let me know what you think about that, what your thoughts are. I'm really interested in that. So this just really shows that, you know, as far as Project Blue Book goes, they did not release all the information and their findings that they had found out. You know, J. Allen Hynek, I'm sure, probably knew about this. At least I hope he did. But it just goes to show that the government is simply hiding some information, and that we need them to fully disclose whatever that information is. Maybe we'll have another whistleblower that'll come out that'll shed some light on Danny Sheehan's, you know, experience from what he saw in that microfiche. If we don't, then obviously all we have is Danny's testimony. But that being said, for me personally, I've watched a lot of Danny Sheehan's interviews. He seems very credible. I mean, he's an attorney that has worked across the board for, you know, several different organizations and administrations. He was even involved in helping to uncover the Watergate scandal, Iran-Contra, among other things. So he definitely, to me, is a legitimate researcher, and to me, feels like he's an honest person. So we definitely need to take that into account, that he has amazing credibility, and that what he said is probably true. Obviously, we don't know 100%. So, you know, as, you know, UAP researchers, we need to make sure that we use our critical thinking skills Let's make sure that we don't jump to conclusions, that we simply use this evidence and gather it together with the other evidence that we have discovered, and then continue to analyze this, in a methodical and scientific way, and make sure that we don't try to read too much into it, but we also need to help, quantify this compared to what other body of data that we have. So anyways, I thought you guys would really, like this. If you would, if you're not a subscriber already, I would really appreciate your support. If you, would please subscribe and like this video. Please share it. That would be fantastic. I do want to also thank all of my subscribers. I really appreciate your support. So thank you so much. If you guys want more information on other retrievals and other things about UFOs, you can go to my website at exosolariaunion.com. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.